Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I'm your host, Michael Hansen, and I do all kinds of things with microphones because I'm a ring announcer, and I am joined this week by both of my interlocutors. Introducing to you first, from New York, repping the Knicks, Horde, Mark Priaulx.
Horde. What's up? How's everybody doing? I just want to give a quick shout out to my wonderful wife. It is our 9-year anniversary of being married tonight.
Nice.
And I'm sitting here talking about MMA. But we're going to do a little something over the weekend when we actually have some babysitting happening. So
Very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, man, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I was at his wedding, FYI.
You were.
And introducing, from Florida, the back to sunshine state, the survivor, Omar Archuleta. What's up, buddy?
What's going on? Great episode last week. I had a chance to listen and enjoy as a listener.
Thank you.
It was good. It was a good time.
What critiques do you have as a listener of the episode?
Fuck you. I don't sound like that. That's my first critique. That's my first critique.
Guido Canetti's my boy.
Guido Canetti is my boy. Hashtag submission. No fucking hooks, but we'll get to it.
Yup.
No, it was good. It was good. I genuinely enjoyed it. It was a good episode.
Nice.
So, dude, I feel like we owe the audience just a minute of you sharing your Hurricane Ian story. Like, how did it go for you? Is your house okay? Are your family's okay?
Yeah, so everybody in my bubble is okay. I do know some people, especially from the gym of mine, who have had some issues. Like I know one of the guys I know, his dad's house is gone.
Damn, gone.
So I know he's gone.
Oh,
it's destroyed. There's shit everywhere. Like the sofa went through the wall, and it's like just like all kinds of nonsense that happened. So there are some people who are dealing with more stuff than I am. I'm trying to donate a bunch of stuff right now, like water and canned goods and shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did one of these like timeshare things over at my Wyndham when I went to take my wife for her birthday trip. So shout out to my wife for her 29th birthday. She is on her last of the 20s this year.
She's only 29. What are you?
32.
Damn, I forgot you guys are that young.
Yeah, I'll be 33 next month. No, sorry. What is it? December. What is time?
Damn, I realize I'm 3 years older than you. And Mike as well.
So,
Mike, are you ready?
So yeah, so I gotta.
I'm turning 36 in 5 days.
Oh, in 5 days. I
Oh,
knew your
shit.
birthday was somewhere around this time of year.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
a lot of October birthdays.
Yeah.
So I got a $100 gift card, so I figured I might as well spend it on some shit for people that
That's
might need
good.
it, so.
Yeah, that's
Fuck
good.
yeah.
But yeah, as far as my house is concerned, everything was good over here. A couple trees got messed up. Porter potties got flipped infinitely. I don't. Whoever had to clean that up, God bless you, because I would have fucking quit right then and there. Fences got messed up, like cosmetic things here and there, but nobody's livelihood or anything like that. At least not where I lived.
Right.
Got destroyed. But 2 hours south of me that's where the eye hit.
Is that Fort Myers, 2 hours south of you? Dude,
Fort Myers, like the
fucking
Naples
desolation.
Yeah, the Naples
Really?
Fort Myers area got smashed pretty hard.
Yeah.
Sarasota got some of it as well, which is again kind of in that 2 hours south of me kind of deal. And then the hurricane took like a weird turn and started going into the middle of Florida with some pretty good water. So all that water from the bay is. I actually drove to the gym the other day, and the gym is in the Tampa Bay area, and the water is back in there. So there was no tsunami or any kind of like abrupt return of the water like I thought there might be, because it seemed plausible.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I mean, the hurricane took a crazy turn. A lot of places in Orlando, like the middle of Florida,
Yeah, I heard
messed
Orlando
up.
got killed.
Yeah, a friend of mine got lost power for like 4 days. Was like cooking on some fucking gas, like little gas powered griddle thing for her and her 3 kids.
Jeez, man.
So it got rough there for a few people. We were definitely lucky because we were supposed to get a good chunk of that storm, a lot harder than we did get. So we got pretty lucky, but ended up putting up shutters all around my house. Didn't know I have shutters until this happened. So a whole different learning experience. I was out here full Florida man, shirt off, shorts on, power drill in hand, ladder all around my house. It was an experience.
All right, man. Well, hey, we're certainly glad that you made it out okay and that Francesca's okay and everybody's good. So that's awesome. Let's talk some fights.
Let's do it.
Well, boys, we have a recap-heavy show for our listeners this week. We have action from Bellator, UFC, and ONE Championship. So it was a busy weekend. We're heading into a pretty dark weekend, meaning that there are no fights this weekend at all for MMA fans. So let's get into this. So we're going to start, as we always do, with our first segment on the marquee. We're going to break down all these fights. We're going to go into Inside the MMA Sphere with Omar. We're going to get an update from the Priaulx Rankings, and we might end with a little bit of trivia. Before we talk any fights, gentlemen, let us thank our audience. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, thank you so much for joining us. We love engaging with you guys. If you haven't done so yet, if you've been liking what you've been watching, then go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Nothing's going to help us out more than that. And yeah, go ahead and hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever we drop a new episode or clip. And if you like any of our takes, let us know in the comments. And if you don't like any of our takes, and if we get something stupidly wrong, like we say that somebody's corner is talking to them in Russian when they're actually speaking in Swedish, go ahead and let us know in the comments. We love to engage with all the people who are watching, whatever the take might be. Apologies to Hamzat Chimaev for mistaking his corners for speaking Russian. Hey, guys, if you want audio only for that commute, we got you there. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. And we're on social media. You can find us on all the socials at the handle @AndNew_MMA show everywhere. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, boys. This week, the name on the marquee has got to be Patricio Pitbull, who this past weekend defeated Adam Borics by unanimous decision across 5 rounds, Bellator 286. It was pretty one-sided. Mark, what is your take of Pitbull getting it done once again?
Yeah, this guy just doesn't stop winning, huh? It's amazing. He just keeps going. I was a little disappointed in this fight. To me, this was Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman without the knockout that saved it for Leon at the end. Adam Borics came into this fight and forgot who he was. And I get it. I'm not a fighter. I can't even imagine what it feels like to have to try to walk forward against a counter-striker on the level of Patricio Pitbull. It's probably terrifying. It probably feels like if you take one false step, you're going to be dead. But Adam Borics is a fighter. And I said this same exact thing about Leon. But you can't make it all the way to the big dance, all the way to the big title fight, and then change how you fight. You can't throw 2 shots at a time against Patricio Pitbull. You absolutely cannot. He will pick you apart, and he will do it with sting behind it all night long. His reaction time and his control of range for someone who has the limited reach and height that he has is way, way, way too good. He is a special counter-striker who, honestly, we probably don't give enough credit to. All I could think of the whole time I was watching that fight is that this guy is one of the best counter-strikers of this whole era and probably doesn't get as much credit as he should for it. But that is exactly the reason why Adam Borics had to fight like Adam Borics. If you're going to beat Pitbull, you need something to be the X factor. Like, if you're an incredible range striker and you think you can stay outside and land like a Wonder Boy style of fighter, do that. If you can wrestle and your grappling is elite too, try to mix it up like AJ McKee might. If you are Adam Borics and you're a pressure fighter who walks people down all fight long and who makes them think about all 8 limbs, to steal some Muay Thai terminology, and who doesn't let their opponent get set and doesn't let their opponent find a rhythm, then do that. Like, maybe Adam Borics thought he would be safer not trying to walk Pitbull down, and that because he was longer, he could win this, like, 1-2 battle of just throwing two-strike combos at each other, but that was not the case, and it took him way too long to realize that was not the case. Practically 4 whole rounds. In round 5, he finally started looking like Adam Borics normally looks. He started walking Pitbull down, and he was actually finally having some success in round 5 before he tried another flying knee that got him taken down, and Pitbull took his back again. So I'm not trying to discredit Pitbull in any way at all. If anything, I left that fight more impressed by Pitbull than I was going into it. The guy just continues to add to his legacy. But I picked Adam Borics because I thought he was going to fight like Adam Borics, and I thought that pressure could make it interesting with Pitbull. And if you told me he was going to stand there for 95% of the fight, exchanging 1-2s, I would have told you he was going to lose every round, and that's pretty much what he did. So yeah. I was just disappointed in the way that played out from Borics. I'm sure he would do it differently if he had another shot, but credit to Pitbull either way because he's a stud.
Yeah, man. Omar, let's bring you in here. What was your take of the performance from Pitbull and from Borics?
So I thought it was a solid performance from both, but I did watch that fight thinking that I wanted Pitbull to do more. I think Pitbull had a lot of opportunities that he could have pushed the pace and he could have pushed the finish, and he just kind of decided not to. I think there was there were moments of coasting that I wasn't really expecting from Pitbull, obviously considering I had a first-round KO as my pick. But there was a lot of dead time in that fight that I didn't expect there to be with two guys that are relatively explosive. One guy whose pace is very, very high, and the other whose explosiveness generally wins him fights. But that didn't really seem to be the case. Pitbull definitely had a much more technical approach to this fight. Definitely a much more ground-heavy approach to this fight. I can't take anything away from Pitbull because it was a solid performance, but I guess I just expected something different, if that makes sense.
Totally. So, what do you guys think is next for these two featherweights in Bellator? Let's start with the loser this time. Let's start with Adam Borics. Mark, what do you think Bellator does with Borics next?
I wouldn't say there's a ton of options. To be honest, he's kind of beat a bunch of these guys already. He beat Matt Burnell. He beat Jeremy Kennedy. He beat Pico back in the day. Obviously, that could maybe happen again, but Pico's hurt right now, so it's not going to. There's a guy who debuted in Bellator. I actually forget how you properly pronounce his name, but I think it's Piotr Nidzielski. But he debuted recently and beat Pedro Carvalho one fight ago for Carvalho. So he kind of immediately came into the top of this Bellator featherweight mix. So he might be someone who makes sense for Borics to reset against, and obviously it'd be a big opportunity for Nidzielski.
Omar, any other thoughts about where the kid Borics might go next?
No. Mark generally has a better handle on these Bellator rankings than I do. I get to the point where everything just kind of seems recycled at this point.
Yeah, it's fair. There's not a ton of depth.
Right. What do you think is next for Pitbull at 145 pounds?
So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's honestly hard because he had said what he wanted to do. He was assuming Pico was going to beat Jeremy Kennedy on this night, which we will get to. He had said that his hope was that he would defend the featherweight title once more against Pico while the Bellator Grand Prix finished playing out. And that then he wanted, while the Bantamweight Grand Prix, I meant to say, finished playing out. And that then he wanted to go down to Bantamweight now to try to add a third Bellator title to his resume. Obviously, if you remember, he had gone up and won the lightweight belt at one point before dropping it. So he wanted to go down to Bantamweight. But now he can fight Pico in the meantime because Pico didn't win and is hurt. He's not ready to fight anyone at Bantamweight because we still got 2 rounds left in that tournament. So the timeline doesn't match up. And there's not really any featherweight contender that makes any sense for him to fight. So I really don't know what you do. I guess you could try to do AJ McKee again and get AJ to come back and say, hey, we're going to do the trilogy now. But AJ kind of seems like he wants to be in that lightweight Grand Prix with the shot to win another $1 million. So, Omar, I don't know if you heard that. I guess you listened last week, but they're doing a lightweight Grand Prix as the next one. So I don't know. It honestly seems like there's not an answer for what Pitbull does right now.
That's
Wait,
tricky,
I
man.
think, is the answer.
I mean, if I'm AJ McKee, I'm like, let me jump into this Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless, it's not like all of the Grand Prix happens right away. Like, so, maybe the first 2 fights of it are in February and the next 2 are like in March. So if there was a way where they were like, hey, Pitbull and AJ, we want to book you in December, and then AJ still thinks he could be in the Grand Prix starting in March or April or something, maybe it works out, but it seems kind of tight.
Okay. Let's move on to the co-main event of Bellator 286.
We were so close to Pitbull and Pico. So close.
Oh, my God. Anything can happen in MMA, man. Yeah. All right, at the Long Beach Arena, Bellator 286, the co-main event at a catchweight of 156.6. AJ McKee defeated Spike Carlyle by unanimous decision. The scorecards reading 29-26, 30-26, and 30-27. Omar, let's start with you this time. What did you make of this kind of lopsided performance by AJ McKee?
This seemed like one of those fights where AJ McKee felt like it looked like Spike Carlyle drug AJ McKee back into the streets. The first 60 seconds of this fight, AJ McKee looked like he was literally on some corner in front of some bodega throwing down with some dude in braids. Like it was pure absolute madness.
True.
It's exactly what it looked like.
Yes.
It was a wild fight. It was a wild fight. I didn't expect McKee to get drug into something like that or drawn into it. I thought he would stay more technical, but the man just going, rolling, throwing, winging crazy shots. And I think he kept doing it because he was finding success. Spike was getting hurt. He was bloodied up from those first 60 seconds. One would argue that McKee got the best of those exchanges in those wild haymaking exchanges. And in the end, I thought that McKee actually had done a really good job, not only putting damage on him, but also controlling him as well. The damage was significant, though. I mean, there were some sequences where Spike was turned around. He was running the other way and still getting tagged. He was bloodied up by the end of that fight, with good reason. It was a wild fight, man. A wild fight. A good one for AJ McKee, but a lot less technical than I thought would happen for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mark, what were your impressions after AJ McKee kind of drubbed Spike Carlyle for 3 rounds?
Yeah, I had kind of the same take. This was a crazy fucking fight, and we knew Spike was going to have to try to make it into a hectic car crash type fight. Like that was his avenue to try to at least win it. If it's a technical fight, he's got no shot. So we knew he was going to come out like that. But goddamn, that man came out at 100 miles per hour, and AJ had those 30 seconds there where you could tell he was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So he had to match that initially. He had to get up to it, and same as Omar though. I figured once he weathered it, he would take a step back and reset and calm down and start working his game and his range striking and all that. But nope, he just continued at 100 miles per hour all fight long. They friggin' scrapped in there the whole time. He probably took some risks that he did not need to be taking, but
yeah.
Even so, and even though Spike got the fight he was kind of hoping to create, AJ's talent was just too much, and that's what's shown through. He was clearly better than Spike every step of the way, everywhere the fight went, as you'd hope AJ McKee would be. And he beat Spike's ass. I mean, we knew Spike was tough. I think we all picked a decision, I believe. So we knew it wasn't easy to get him out of there, but my God, that man had about a dozen different opportunities to quit in that fight, and he absolutely would not. So props to him, and of course, props to AJ on a very nice lightweight debut.
Yeah, man. He gets a nice win over a tough guy at 155 pounds in Bellator. Most likely McKee is going to stay at 155, I think, and maybe hop into this lightweight Grand Prix for his chance to earn $1 million. Let's talk real quick about Spike Carlyle. Mark, at 155 pounds, put on your Scott Coker hat. And what would you do with Spike at this point?
So we mentioned this quickly last week. I think it's one that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't expect Spike or Peter Queally to be ending up in this lightweight Grand Prix. There's an outside shot, I guess, for either of them. But if I'm booking it, they're not in it. And I think that would make for actually a really exciting, action-packed matchup outside of that Grand Prix picture.
I'd love
so
it.
that's where
That'd
I
be
go.
great. Any other thoughts, Omar?
No, that's actually a fantastic fight. I didn't even think about that. That was a great fight.
Man. All right. In the featherweight division, Bellator 286, Jeremy Kennedy defeated Aaron Pico by TKO via shoulder injury. If you haven't seen it, Aaron Pico pops his shoulder out, basically throwing a punch.
Yep.
Finishes out the round, and then his corner frantically trying to get his shoulder back into place, yanking on his arm. Kind of gruesome to watch a little bit, if you're asking me. I don't know if they got it back in or if they failed to do so.
They did not get it back in.
Doctors waved it off, like you're not fighting.
They did not get it back
God, man, what a terrible way to for that fight to go. Mark, what was your assessment of the action?
Yeah, we touched on it already here a couple minutes ago, but what a friggin' buzzkill this was. You know, right when it finally seems like Aaron Pico is ready to break through to the elite, he hits another bump in the road. It just seems like it is never a smooth road for this kid. Probably was going to get Pitbull with a win here, you would think. And has this happened? So it sucked. I mean, that thing came out, what was it, in the first minute of the fight?
Yeah.
First 30 seconds? I don't even remember, yeah.
Might have been the first or
gutted it
second
out.
hook he threw.
Yeah, and he gutted it out for the whole round. He's trying to pop it back in himself while he's fighting. He can't do it. He's trying to keep Jeremy Kennedy off him with only one arm, so Kennedy's kind of just like controlling him, but still wasn't able to do anything, even though Pico only had one arm working. And then, yeah, he freaking runs to the corner with his arm hanging down. Like, he can't even hold the weight of his arm. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, you knew he was hurt, but then you see that, and it was like, oh, baby. And I'm guessing maybe we've seen something similar to that before, like in an MMA corner. I feel like in all the years of MMA we watched, it must have happened. But, like, none are coming to my mind. And seeing Gibson just yanking and wrenching on that arm to try to pop the shoulder back in was wild. And I'm not surprised that the ref was like, hold on a fucking second. What's happening in that corner? We're going to check this out. So, you know, for a second I thought they got it back in. Like when he was yanking on it, then Pico takes his arm back and he's kind of rotating it. And I was like, wow, like this is happening. He's going to go back out there. He's going to get this win. It's going to be amazing. And then next thing you know, the fight's waved off. So super unfortunate. It sucks. Tough luck loss for Pico. Kennedy gets one of those wins that kind of just does nothing for you. You know, no knock on him. I guess he fought well with what he had, but yeah, just a buzzkill for everybody basically.
How does that count as a win, man? It's got to be a no contest, in my opinion.
I struggle with this shit, man. I really struggle with it because there's such a fine line between like, did you cause it, or was it a freak thing? And like this one, it's easy to say like it was a freak thing. He was throwing a punch,
Right.
Yeah.
but like there's others that are like much more fine line, and I don't know how you actually start deciding.
Like shin breaks, like when Connor broke his shin or when Anderson broke his shin.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a win. That's a no contest. Come on.
Yeah. I would prefer to see guys' records historically. I almost wish we had a different thing. Like maybe not a no contest or a loss, like an injury loss or some shit like that.
Sure.
So that when you're looking at records historically, it's easier for you to be like, wait, that guy beat that guy? And you're like, oh, no, injury loss. Like, and then you remember what happened. You know what I mean? I would like it if there was some way to do that.
All right, Omar, what was your assessment of the of that first round of Pico?
I'm not going to. I don't think it's even fair to assess it. The man was literally one-handed for the entire fight. The hook that he threw was either the first or the second hook that he threw of the entire fight, and not only survived but was literally rolling on the ground, grappling with one arm. That's my assessment of the fight. Pico is an animal. The fact that he was even able to go an entire round without screaming bloody murder, because
Animal.
if you watch any other fights, Muay Thai fights, kickboxing, like whatever, people have dislocated their arms in the middle of a fight. They're literally making noise in the middle of those those moments. Like
he didn't even make a face when Gibson was
Nothing.
yanking on it. His expression never changed.
Dude, think about if your arm is
Savage.
dislocated, it's not like that the pain is only when it got dislocated. Now that pain is period. That pain is there. It's radiating. It's fucking there. Pico went an extra 4 minutes rolling around on this arm, posting on this arm. Like, yeah, like it's.
I don't think he posted on it.
He definitely did. Go back and watch it.
I feel like he
definitely
had
did.
it like this for 4 straight minutes, and that he was just
No.
doing everything with the right arm.
There's one
feel
point
like I
where he was
remember it.
against. There was one point where he was against the cage, and he posted with his left arm because he had nothing else while he was
I
trying to
feel
get.
like I gotta go watch because I
was
kept
getting-
watching, thinking, I hope he doesn't have to use that arm. I was watching for it.
You could see him
Yeah,
trying to get the right arm involved, but the angle where he was getting taken down wasn't really allowing for it. But he was.
Oh, maybe I missed it.
It was, dude. Either way, man, Pico's a beast. I don't really
even
think
think
it's
about
fair
that.
to analyze that performance from either direction, considering what happened. So, you just need to see him get healed up and back in the cage.
I mean, I can speak from experience of I've dislocated both of my shoulders, and it is.
Oh,
I mean, it is one of the most painful things I've ever felt, ever.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's hard to describe. It's a shocking
get
amount
it?
of pain.
how'd you get it back in? Did you go to the hospital or somebody popped it for you?
So my shoulders both. I think the term is subluxed, where it goes out and back in immediately on its own.
Oh,
It was pretty fucking painful.
oh.
I've done that to both shoulders a few times.
How'd you do it?
Football, basketball, high school.
Wow.
It popped out again. I was playing intramurals in college. I mean, it's like the same stuff. Like I'm going up for a layup and somebody hits you on the arm, and like as you're going up, it just like comes out. Oh my god! So that I cringe so much when I think about Pico, man, because that shit was just out.
Yeah. Animal.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
really
man.
is an animal.
Oh, and you're right. I the times that I've had my shoulders pop out, screaming. I'm on the floor.
This dude's fighting.
The other crazy part was that in one moment, he's going to the ref. No, I can fight. Let me fight. Let me do it. I'm okay. Let me do it. The ref calls it. The camera pans away. It pans back 5 seconds later, and you hear Pico going to Gibson. Dude, get me to the hospital right now.
Oh my god.
He knew it was that serious, and still he was like, I'm cool. Let me fight.
So he did an Instagram video afterwards, like an update and stuff like that. And he goes, in retrospect, it was probably the best decision to not let me continue to fight. It's like, no shit, guy. You had one arm. Like, no shit.
What's also interesting, just one last thing on this, is if a guy breaks something, the fight gets called immediately. But why is that not the case for a dislocation?
I don't know. I guess because
honestly,
a break
I don't-
can get significantly worse, and a dislocation can't.
I guess so.
I think it has more to do with who people, like, whether they know or not, number one. And you also have to imagine a promotion like the UFC is not trying to have, like, anything like that happen where something even worse happens after that. Some of these smaller promotions might be like, oh, your arm's back in? Oh, then get to work. It just might not, it might not be like that for somebody a little bit more
Totally.
reputable and, who needs those kind of good reputations among them.
Okay, one more for Bellator 286 at a catch weight of 141 pounds. Juan Archuleta defeated Enrique Barzola by unanimous decision, 30-27s across the board. Omar, take this one. What was your assessment of Archuleta? Looking good over Barzola.
He looked good. I think my real issue is Barzola also looked good.
Yes.
This was a good fight, man. They both scrapped. I'm curious how you had it, Mark, because these rounds were tight, man. These were not like blown away rounds. These were not, Archuleta running away with the fight. 30-27, I don't even think remotely begins to explain how that fight actually went. I had it 29-28. I would definitely argue, the second round I think is the round that you can argue. But 30-27 to me is just that's just heartbreaking, especially from all three judges. That sucks.
Mark?
So it's kind of the story of what I said in my prediction, that as good as Enrique Barzola is and as tough and out as he is, he's not really a round winner. So I couldn't pick him because I didn't think he was going to finish Archuleta. And it was kind of the same story here. Like, he keeps it close as shit, but he's not necessarily winning these rounds. And that's what happened. I haven't rewatched the fight live. I don't remember which round I was torn on. So maybe you said it was 2, maybe it was 2. But I remember when it ended thinking that was either 3-0 or 2-1. But either way, I thought Archuleta had won it. So it must have been 1-3 that I thought he had clearly won. Now you have me curious.
Yeah, I'm going to this thing now. So the internet has, it's like almost 58% have Barzola beating Archuleta. 29.
No way.
Yeah. 41% have Archuleta defeating Barzola. 2-3 for Barzola.
Wow. So no, I guess it was 3 that I gave Barzola then, according to what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, 3 I thought was the most clear one for Barzola.
So I must have gave 1 and 2 to. Oh right, yeah. So I didn't have it 3-0. Sorry, now I'm remembering this fight. That's my fault. Yeah, I had it 2-1 because Barzola did win the 3rd round. Yes, I remember it now.
Not according to the actual judges.
That's my bad for misspeaking. Yeah, so I had it 29-28 Archuleta. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. Yeah, but wow, that's interesting about the internet giving round 2 to Barzola as well. I don't know. I thought Archuleta won the first 2 rounds. My bad on not remembering this clearly for a second there. But yeah, I thought the story was more or less what we thought it was going to be. It's that Barzola hung tough, that he's so good everywhere, but that the power and the athleticism of Juan Archuleta was the differentiating factor. I thought he looked really good. He looked really fast. Showed off both his striking and his wrestling, and I thought kind of reminded people why he is held in the regard that he is. I thought it was a clear win. That's my fault for not remembering this fight as I started speaking, but now I do.
Let's just say a few words on where these gentlemen can go from here at Bellator. Mark, give us a name for the winner here, Juan Archuleta.
So, a lot of the top of this division, I say a lot, 4 guys are kind of stuck in this Grand Prix still. Obviously, Rafael Stotts is fighting Danny Sabatello, and Magomed Magomedov is fighting Patchy Mix. And then you have Sergio Pettis, obviously still hurt, kind of on the sidelines. Eventually, you would think, going to fight whoever wins this Grand Prix. So, Archuleta is like on that level, and all these guys are kind of booked. So, if it's me, if either Sabatello or Magomedov lose their fight, I'd probably book him with one of them. If it's Mix or Stotts that lose, he just fought both of them very recently, so then it gets a little trickier. But assuming one of Sabatello or Magomedov lose their fight, that's where I'd go with Archuleta.
Nice. Omar, any other suggestions?
No, like I said, Bellator gets a little recycly in their things here, so that's probably as good as it's going to get.
All right. Well, overseas this past weekend, One Championship had one on Prime Video 2, with the main event being Jingnan against Angela Lee. Let us discuss this main event, gentlemen. It happened at women's strawweight, and for the One Women's Strawweight Championship, and Xiong Jingnan defeated Angela Lee by unanimous decision. The scores are not printed
No
here.
scores.
Oh, that's right, because it's graded on a whole.
Yeah.
Omar, let me start with you. What was your take on Jingnan getting it done over Angela Lee? Back and forth fight, tough fight. How did you see it?
Yeah, this was a really good fight. I got to definitely give credit to Angela Lee where she deserves it. For somebody who's not technically a striker, she hung in there and she scrapped with this girl. She got dropped a couple times. She got lit up a few times. There are sequences where she was getting hit with 2 and 3 hit combos, but she hung in there, man. She hung in there. She held her ground. She started to come forward and throw counter strikes at a lot of those opportunities. Definitely made sure that how do we pronounce her name? Xiong. Made sure that she left with just as many welts on her face as Angela Lee left. It was definitely a big back and forth fight. I had trouble kind of seeing where this was going in certain moments just because the momentum would change every now and again. I think while Angela Lee had her moments and definitely had a few of them throughout 5 rounds, I think Jingnan at the end of the day deserved that decision. I did think last week when I gave my picks that you guys read out, I thought Angela Lee would be able to weather the early storm, and eventually she'd be able to take it to the ground and kind of work her way. I didn't think she'd be able to get it as early as she did in her first fight, but I did think that she eventually would find a submission. But such a hard-fought fight from both women that, just the way it goes.
Yeah, man. Mark, what was your take? How did you see this fight between Xiong and Lee?
Sorry, Omar, I was reading something for a second there. You said you did think Xiong won it?
I did. I thought it was a hard. Again, because we're not doing like by rounds. I wasn't scoring by rounds. At the end of the fight, I just thought that she had won the fight just overall.
Fair. I mean, this thing was a great friggin' fight. It absolutely lived up to the billing and the hype. But yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. Like, the point was to break the tie, kind of, and tell us once and for all who's the better fighter. And I still don't know what the answer is.
Yeah,
like
that's not it.
Does anyone out there? I mean, that shit practically felt like a draw. Like, I know all 3 judges saw it for Xiong, and I'm pretty sure that was because of the damage factor, and damages weighed heavily in one. But man, that thing felt friggin' close. Like, round 1 was really where Xiong did all her work. She came out and poured it on Angela, dropped her multiple times, and it looked like she was going to get her out of there, honestly. But Angela Lee is tough as hell. She took a beating in that round and got up from her stool to start round 2 and just immediately brought it to Xiong and turned the tide. By minutes into round 2, the tide was already turned. So that was super impressive. She got that Darce choke in round 2 and then starts landing all those knees against the fence. She starts finding her range, finding her rhythm. She was moving way better in the striking. I was really impressed by, Omar said the same thing, but I was really impressed by Angela Lee's striking. Like, she's made a lot of improvements there. I didn't think that she could hang in pure striking exchanges in that fight the ways that she did, but her kicks are so fast. She's so light on her feet. And those adjustments kind of continued like the whole fight long, to the point that as we get through round 3, and then especially I thought in round 4, where Xiong seemed very stagnant, almost like she was kind of just waiting and maybe catching a breather, I was kind of starting to feel like, is Angela Lee going to find a way to take this fight? Because, yeah, she got her ass beat early, but it's kind of been a little bit now of her edging it out and edging it out and edging it out. And it was for 2 reasons that it got so close. It was that, number one, Angela Lee is tough as hell and just is a tough night in the cage for anyone. And if you don't get her out of there, she's going to put it on you. And the second is that Xiong just became so fixed on this strategy of countering all fight long and making Lee come get her that she kind of almost let it slip away, because, like, yeah, that strategy works great if you're landing big shots like in round 1, but when you're not, you're kind of just letting the cards get away from you, because she was letting Lee walk her down, letting Lee land first, and she kind of almost fucked around and blew that. And in round 5, I'm going to say with like 2 minutes left in round 5, and maybe the judges weren't on the same page here. They were unanimous for Xiong, so it sounds like they were pretty set on that. But like 2 minutes left in round 5, I started to think like, fuck, I think Angela Lee's going to steal this fight. And then Xiong, I think maybe kind of sensed she wasn't having a great stretch, and she turned it up those last 2 minutes, I would say. And then when it ended, I was literally, of all the fights I've watched, I think that's probably like in my top 10 fights where the fight ended, and I was like, I don't have a clue who just won that fight. Like, I literally was 50-50 on who I thought should win that fight. So great fight. The damage is what carried the night for Xiong, I'm sure. Really tough loss for Angela Lee to stomach, especially battling through it the way she did and coming back the way that she did. I'm sure she feels like shit right now. But, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one in that example of full fight scoring versus round scoring. Like, we say we prefer the full fight scoring, and I do. But here, it felt so damn even that I started thinking, like, man, what would the round scoring be?
Yeah, so did I.
And I don't know, it would have been 10-8 for Xiong in the first round. Did Xiong win one of the others? Like, I think she probably did, so would it have been 47-47 even in round scoring? Like, I don't know. It was just a close-ass fight. But props to Xiong for getting it done.
Yeah, man. I'm not super familiar with the depth chart over at One Championship. Do either of you guys have any suggestions of what might be next for Jingnan?
I don't need to be familiar because what I want to be next is a fourth fight. I feel like we get the friggin' answer. Like, it wasn't decided for me. So maybe Angela Lee has to put her belt up now, and Jingnan's reward for winning is that she gets to have another shot at becoming double champ if she's willing to make the cut again.
Yeah.
I don't know if that interests her or not, but after the fight, she said she'd be willing to fight Lee again because she knew it was close. If Lee wins, we can do a fifth. I could just do this matchup forever. I mean, I'm sure there's other girls who want shots at these titles. I mean, granted, Stamp, I think, is still the number one contender for Angela Lee's title, and Lee just beat her. So, I don't know, but it doesn't feel resolved to me.
I mean, yeah, agreed. It was a super close fight.
Yeah.
I'm Team Lee all the way, though.
And just to quickly mention the few other relevant fights on one, I'll touch on Stamp, who I just brought up. She was in the co-main. Well, a grappling match was the co-main. The co-main MMA fight. Looked really good. She beat Juan. Showed how well-rounded she's becoming. She dropped her a couple times, defended takedowns. She looked dangerous in the grappling. She's really starting to round out that MMA game. And she fought Angela Lee kind of early on. I wonder, like, 2 years from now, what Stamp Fairtek's MMA game looks like because she's very talented. And then two other notable results from this card were at lightweight, where Christian Lee is the champ. You had – wait, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, all right, I'll do that fight first then. Where Christian Lee is the champ. You had Timofey Nastyukin, who is, I believe he was ranked number 3 coming into this. He's someone who's kind of in that title mix. He fought a debuting fighter named Halil Amir, who I'm not familiar with. And Nastyukin looked pretty good early, got over-aggressive in round 2, got clipped, hurt bad. And to Nastyukin's credit, my God, did this guy try hard to get back to his feet. I mean, he was in a barrage for like 45 seconds. I don't even know what it was. Trying to stand back up, trying to stand back up, trying to stand back up. And eventually his body was just like, dude, we can't move anymore. Like, even he was still looking up, like he was like trying to get his head up, and his body just wasn't coming with him. So that's a tough motherfucker, but enormous debut for Halil Amir, who throws himself right in this mix in the lightweight division where Christian Lee's the champ. And then similar result in the other notable fight on this card, which is where Martin Nguyen, who was ranked number 3 as well in the featherweight division, where Tang Kai is champ, was fighting, trying to get himself close to a title shot. He was also fighting a debuting fighter. His name is Ilya Fraimanov. I don't know who this man Ilya Fraimanov is. I've never seen him fight before. This was his debut in one. He fucking wrecked Martin Nguyen. His striking and combos were so clean and packed so much heat. I was wildly impressed. If you have not seen this fight, it's a quick one. Go find this fight. And he calls out Tang Kai immediately after the fight. I don't know if he's getting that right away. He probably's got to get another win, I would imagine, before he's fighting for a title. But that is a dude to watch.
Very nice.
Cool, man. Thank you. And now let us pivot once again to the third and final promotion for this show, that being the UFC. This past weekend, we had UFC Fight Night Dern versus Juan at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Fun little card. Quite a handful of great finishes, fun finishes. Let's go down this card. Let's start with the main event. Xiaonan Yan defeated Mackenzie Dern by unanimous decision. The scores read 48-47. Oh, no, that was written wrong. Not unanimous decision. Excuse me, majority decision.
Yes.
One judge had it 47-47, and the other two judges had it 48-47 for Yan. Omar, let me throw it over to you first. Who did you think won this fight? What's that?
I said, sorry, was that me that wrote that? My bad.
No, it's all good. Who do you think won the fight, and what were your takes of the performances of Yan and Dern?
So, I do think it was a draw. That last round, Mackenzie Dern basically had control for 4 minutes and 30 seconds of that round, and it's hard not to at least in my head, it would be difficult not to give that girl a 10-8 based on that performance in that specific round. As far as her overall performance, this for me has, I think, been the difficulty with Dern is, I think, like most BJJ players, their inability to take people down. When you can't take somebody down and your whole game relies on being on the ground, you're left with this transitionary period that is essentially just a hole to be exposed. And that's exactly what Jan did. She was able to keep Mackenzie Dern off of her, and in keeping her off of her, she was landing strikes, making Mackenzie Dern look ridiculous in a lot of exchanges. You know, making Mackenzie basically look like she had no base. She wasn't even defending herself properly, just kind of flailing all over the place. There were a few moments where she looked like one of those wacky waving inflatable tube men. There were too many solid moments from Jan's defense and not enough tightness from the takedown of Mackenzie Dern for that fight to have gone the way that Mackenzie Dern wanted it to go. What we should give credit to is Jan's submission defense as well. Having actually gone on the ground with Mackenzie Dern at any point in that fight is essentially a death sentence for most women in that division. The fact that Jan was able to be down there more than once, and we can argue, we can go into that 10-8 round and give Mackenzie that 10-8 round, but the reality remains Jan did not get submitted in that round. I don't think she deserves to win a fight by not getting submitted, but at the same time, that is a big feather in her cap that a lot of other women in the division may not have to say the same. But I did have it 47-47. The last round being that 10-8 round made all the difference. Kind of sucks that wasn't the case in general. Looking online, it looks like most people do also have it as a draw. So, sucks for Mackenzie Dern. She looked like she took that loss pretty hard. It probably does set her back a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she's popular. She's very, very good at what she does. Her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game is elite, to say the least. So I'm sure she'll be back stronger next time.
Mark, how did you score the fight?
I tend to agree. This was a fun fight. It was a tale of two styles, as we expected it to be. Whenever it was on the feet, Jan was winning, even though Dern hung tough. And whenever it was on the mat, Dern was winning, even though Jan hung tough. I think the rounds were pretty clear in terms of who won them. Mackenzie wins 2 and 5 when she was able to get things on the mat. And Jan wins 1, 3, and 4 when she was able to keep things standing. The questions, the controversy come down to exactly what Omar brought up, which is should round 5 have been scored 10-8 for Mackenzie Dern? And I get that Jan wasn't like badly hurt or necessarily in terrible danger. Like she was in danger of getting put in a sub, but she was never in like, oh man, she might tap type of danger. So I get that. But I tend to agree with Omar. It was 4 minutes and 15 seconds of complete and total control. And the strikes were 97-15. That feels like a 10-8 to me, which would make it 47-47. I give Mackenzie Dern a lot of credit because she looked very discouraged after round 4. Priaulx was telling her that she had to go for it, and boy, did she ever go for it. Like that takedown that she got to start round 5 was pure will because she was half losing her grip on that takedown and just powered through it because she was like, nope, I need this thing on the mat if I'm going to have a chance here. And even in her loss, Omar said this too, her jiu-jitsu is so damn beautiful to watch. She's so good. It's like she's floating in there when she's transitioning. But on the flip side, I heard them say after the fight that Xiaonan Yan is a white belt. Like, girl, not anymore. You're not a white belt anymore. Like, that was instant brown belt, at least. Yeah, like, to be on the floor with Mackenzie Dern for 10 minutes and not get tapped is wildly impressive for a white belt.
Yeah.
Like, in a way that makes no sense to my brain. I don't even understand that. Which is why I picked Mackenzie to win the fight, because I knew there would be times that it hit the mat. And I figured Jan couldn't survive for that long when it did.
Same.
And she spent 10 minutes surviving down there. So I give her a ton of credit. I hope she's getting promoted at least one belt, if not multiple. I'm not even kidding when I'm saying multiple belts.
Uriah Faber said she's getting a promotion.
Okay. And yeah, Omar's right. Dern did seem to take it hard. I know that's really a discouraging loss for her. I do wish she at least got the draw. It would have kind of been like a what's that word? Something victory.
Moral
Victory. Thank you, Christ. That at least she gutted it out and won that fifth round 10-8 and left there with the draw instead of a loss would have been nice. But she is still getting better. You can see her striking's improving. She is super tough. We know now from these recent fights that she can take shots. Like, there's more to come from Mackenzie Dern. And I honestly think the next step for her would be adding power to her ground strikes, specifically incorporating elbows. Because all her ground strikes right now, as much as that it was whatever I just said, 98-17, all her ground strikes right now are for setup. Her mind is 100% jiu-jitsu all the time. And on top of that, her punches don't carry a ton of power. But with the control that she has on the ground and with how worried her opponents are about being submitted, if she could mix in some big elbows, which are a lot easier to generate power behind because you're throwing your body with them, I think it would change a lot for her because you're already stuck under her. If you want to focus on not getting tapped, like, okay, here comes a few elbows to the dome. If you start thinking about those elbows, boom, armbar. Like, I think that opens up a lot for her in terms of being more dangerous on the ground. And I think that could be the next evolution of Mackenzie Dern, potentially. So I'm sure there's more progress to come from her. But for now, she gets turned back, and a huge win for Xiaonan.
I would actually say the kicks are probably something she should probably work on. Every time I see a Brazilian, and your boy does this probably the best out of everybody who's a pure jiu-jitsu guy. Charles Oliveira, the champ, is fantastic at this now, where he utilizes his kicks and his knees, and he doesn't give a shit when he uses them because what are you going to do?
Good point.
Catch him? Take him down?
Too.
Go for it. And that's how Mackenzie Dern should be throwing her kicks. Especially look at who she's working with. She's working with the god of kicks in Luke Rockhold. You know what I mean?
I don't know if she has the power to make them a weapon. Like, she doesn't seem like she has natural power standing.
Yeah, but the kicking is one of those things that it comes from technique. And if you're just kind of throwing your kicks up there and not really turning your hip, which I will tell you firsthand is not fucking easy to do. If you're not super flexible, there's a lot of power that you lose in not kicking properly. And so it's not a faster kick. The faster kick is just, throwing it up there, making the contact, kind of hitting the side of the person. But a true, like, power kick goes across the belly. It goes horizontal, not in a diagonal direction. So if Mackenzie Dern is just throwing kicks, even if they are the fast kicks, strong kicks, leg kicks, whatever it is, not only are you, throwing up points on the board, but at the same time, you're putting pressure on the person to be like, you got to respond. And how are you going to do that? Because we're either going to strike here and I'm going to use my kicks to keep you at distance, or you're going to catch something and take me down, in which case you just did my work for me. So if she's not going to get improved on her takedowns, she's got to find a way to force people to take her down so she can play her game. Because what she just did in that Jan fight, that's not it, man. She can't do that again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the number one improvement would be if she could get better at taking people down, of course. But, like, that's a lot harder to do. If she could tweak the two things we just said in the meantime, I think it could help. Mackenzie, bring us in.
Girl needs to call Damian Maia, man. She needs to give that boy a call and be like, listen, give me a crash course on some of the Damian Maia.
I don't know if he was great at taking people down either.
He was decent at it. I fucking love
Damian Maia. He was decent at it.
He was decent at it. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists are not great at it at all.
No.
Damian Maia adapted well enough, especially in his time, to take some people down.
Yeah. But I think she's got to go full. She's got to go full Charles and just get rocked. Let herself get rocked, and then let her opponent climb on top of her, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm fine." And now you're in a triangle. Let's talk about women's strawweight real quick. Mackenzie Dern, her last two losses were to great strikers in the division, that being Marina Rodriguez and now Xiaonan. Omar, where do you think Dern goes next at women's strawweight?
I mean,
on that matchmaker hat.
Mackenzie Dern's got some good losses or good wins on her record, but she's also got a few losses on her record, especially to the women who are kind of working their way up to the top of this division. At this point, I don't know if it makes sense to give her somebody in front of her. I think it would make sense to give somebody a shot behind her at this point, especially with the performance that Xiaonan had. I think the momentum kind of goes with her. So with that in mind, I think you probably give somebody who's had some solid performances, maybe give her a shot a little bit further up in the rankings. Maybe Mackenzie Dern versus Virna Jandiroba would be an interesting fight, especially from a stylistic standpoint.
Mark, any other names at 115 pounds you'd throw out there?
Yeah, she's kind of tough to match up. Kind of because of what Omar just said, like the above her, she doesn't really deserve to be fighting right now, coming off a couple losses. The below her is not really at her level, it seems, so it's a little hard to put her in there with someone. I thought about Virna as well, but she actually beat her a couple years back, so I was like, we run that again. Where I landed is that if Amanda Lemos loses to Marina Rodriguez, maybe you go that route, but I don't really love that either.
That'd be interesting too.
So I don't know. She's tough to match up right now. I also thought about giving the winner of Angela Hill and Emily Ducote a shot against Mackenzie Dern, but nothing feels perfect.
Yeah, that'd be another interesting striker to match up with her in Angela Hill.
I had no idea that they fought already like 2 years ago. The day before my birthday at that.
Yeah, man,
Okay,
I don't remember that fight. I had the same feeling as you. I was like, wait a second, what?
Okay. Xiaonan Yan gets a huge win of her career. Mark, sticking with you, where do you put her next at 115 pounds?
I'm going to go Rose.
Oh, wow.
Jessica Andrade would also work, but Rose needs an opponent. A lot of these girls are booked, and I think the striking exchanges between Rose and Yan would be really fun. So that's where I'm going to go.
That's great, too. I also like that Xiaonan brings a little bit of new blood to the very tippy top of 115 pounds, which has gotten a little stagnant. Omar, agree, disagree? Any other suggestions?
Mine was Jessica Andrade, especially after watching the performance against Mackenzie Dern and the takedown defense that she did have in some of those moments, most of those moments in the fight. I think it'd be interesting to see if she would have the same success over somebody who's a wrestler as opposed to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist trying to take him down. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a near lock that it will be one of those two women. I don't really see where else you could go with Yan.
yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. In the co-main event of UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Yan, in the welterweight division, Randy Brown defeated Francisco Trinaldo by unanimous decision, 29-28 on all three judges' scorecards. Omar, let me start with you. What was your take on Randy Brown getting it done over the ageless wonder, Francisco Trinaldo?
So there were a couple things I noticed in this fight. The first of which was Randy Brown looked enormous next to Francisco Trinaldo. Absolutely enormous. Yeah. Trinaldo looks wide as shit, but Randy Brown just looked bigger.
Remember, he's a career lightweight, and Brown's a big welterweight.
Yeah. Randy Brown is just a monstrous human being. It was great to see Randy Brown though perform. I've been high on Randy Brown for quite some time now. I love his ability to manage distance. His teeps and his front kicks are fantastic. I'm glad that he has that length and knows how to use the length, and he's not just a fucking waste. Dude, I can't tell you how annoyed it is when I see somebody with all of this like physical cheating in their body, and they just don't use it. They just don't know how to use it.
You weren't a fan of Stefan Struve, huh?
No.
He knew how to use it in his grappling, but he certainly didn't know how to use it on the feet.
He didn't know how to put his chin down either. But we're not gonna do that to Stefan.
We've been on this road before.
He didn't do nothing to nobody. But it was a great performance. I thought Randy Brown was cleanly kind of picking him apart throughout the rounds. Trinaldo tried to find his moments. He tried to close distance as much as he could, try to nullify what he could. Didn't really work out, I think, the way he wanted to. Randy Brown was really good everywhere. I thought his striking was fantastic. His defense, I thought, was also really, really good. I thought it was a solid performance, man. I didn't really hate it. I think, if I was being honest, I think I gave the third round to Trinaldo, if I'm remembering it right.
Yeah, I did too.
And I wonder if that probably had to do a little bit with the gas tank at that point. There was it got pretty high paced from the first round for 170-pound guys. But damn, it was a fantastic fight, and I'm glad to see Randy Brown back in the mix again. We need some consistency because I really think that kid has real potential to go far in that division.
Mark, what was your take of Randy Brown getting it done by UD over Trinaldo?
Yeah, he looked good. He looked smooth as he has been lately, and he fought smart for the most part. He didn't put it on Trinaldo in quite the way I thought he could, considering that size advantage. I really thought he could do something more dramatic in there to Trinaldo, but I got to give Trinaldo credit. The guy is amazing. He finds a way to hang in there with everyone he is ever in there against, no matter how high level that they are. Like, he's got a who's who on his resume, and he's kept every fight close. He just battles. He's a smart fighter. I think he's smarter than we realize. He finds ways to press his advantages in fights. But Randy Brown did take round 1 and round 2. The front kicks were a big weapon for him, as Omar said. He landed that one huge shot in round 1 that dropped Trinaldo, which was big. He did also have the egregious fence grab in round 1, which kind of sucked. Right. Yeah. And Anik had a great line where he said the ref needed to take out his testicles and take a point. So who knows how that would have changed the fight if Trinaldo could have gotten a takedown there without the fence grab, and then maybe Trinaldo wins rounds 1 and 3. So we will never know. But from what we did see, Randy Brown looked like the better fighter. He certainly did enough for the W, and I'm glad he keeps moving here because I'm a fan of Randy Brown.
Well, with this win over the 44-year-old Trinaldo, Randy Brown now has notched, I believe, 4 wins in a row. Mark, where do you think he goes from here at welterweight?
So this may not be a popular selection, but I thought about it, and I love it. I've been dying for Randy Brown to get a crack at like a big name and kind of break through here. I think he deserves it. I don't know if Tony Ferguson is staying in the welterweight division.
You're terrible.
If he is,
you're terrible.
If he is, that's where I'm going. Simply because, A, he's a name. I think it's hard for Randy Brown to get a name right now because a lot of these real names are in the mix to fight each other, like in the way welterweight is. Tony's not in the mix to fight anyone right now, but he is a name. Also, I want to see Randy Brown in a dogfight against a guy who's not going away, who's going to keep walking at him. And as much as Tony may be down a level, he still is that guy. So I think it does some things I want to see Randy Brown in there across from. I figured you'd hate it, but that's where I'm going.
I absolutely fucking hate it. I absolutely hate it. You're just talking about how he made Francisco Trinaldo look like a Lego piece, and you're going to put fucking Tony Ferguson in there with this scarecrow. Are you absolutely out of your mind?
Tony's bigger than Trinaldo.
Trinaldo's only 5'8".
Yeah, Tony's like 4 inches tall. Isn't Tony 6 feet tall?
He's either 5'11" or 6 feet tall, I think.
Okay, and his reach is definitely more too. Yeah, his reach is only 1.5 inches shorter than Brown's.
There you go. Randy Brown is 6'3".
Get
at welterweight,
off
it's
me,
pretty big.
Omar.
This is terrible. This is a terrible
1.5 inch reach advantage.
Matchup.
Instead of 8 inches on Trinaldo.
All right.
Omar, where are you going?
I want Homeboy to crack into the top 15. I'm going with Michel Pereira. Give that boy a psycho.
Ooh.
Let him see if he can crack.
I did think about that matchup, and it's a great one. But the reason I didn't do it is because I was like, I feel like Michel also deserves a step up. So, like, I didn't want them to have to fight each other. But I'm down. That would be a great fight.
Okay, let's move on. In the bantamweight division, Raoni Barcelos defeated Trevin Jones by UD. Scorecards rating, 30-27, 30-27, and 30-25. Mark, why don't you take this one first? I believe you picked Barcelos to defeat Trevin Jones. I foolishly took Jones. Give us your assessment.
So way back when we did our first practice episodes for this show on recordings that have never seen the light of day, I remember describing Raoni Barcelos as a top 15 bantamweight without a number next to him. Now we're a year later. He's had a couple bumps on the road, and somehow it still hasn't happened for him. He has never cracked these rankings. But that guy, the guy that fought on Saturday, that guy is a top 15 bantamweight. He can do it all. He does it all so damn technically. He's dangerous on his feet. He mixes it up. He hits with power. He's a 5-time Brazilian wrestling champion. He's a nasty grappler. The dude has every tool in the bag. He's already 35. The run didn't happen a year or so ago when it felt like it was happening. As I said, he hit a couple bumps there. He had a tough decision loss to Valiev that people thought could have gone either way. And then he ends up getting beat by Victor Henry, who debuted against him on short notice, which was wild. Victor Henry's fighting next week. So a couple bumps in the road. But that dude that just showed out on Saturday is the guy with the talent of a top 15 bantamweight. As I said, he's 35. I still think he can do it. I think maybe we're getting one more run right now. I was really encouraged by how he just fought.
Omar, what was your assessment of Barcelos getting it done at 135 pounds against the talented Trevin Jones?
I mean, I thought he looked good. I will say the fight ended up being more entertaining than I thought it would be. I had no high expectations for this fight. You may remember my comment being meh, either way. I didn't have high expectations for this fight, but I will say Raoni Barcelos definitely mixed it up a lot better than I thought he was going to. Trevin Jones ate a lot of shit in that fight, though. I mean, he ate a lot of damage in that fight, and Barcelos really put it on him. It was a solid performance, though. You know, I can't take anything away from him. I still don't know if it was, you know, the most impressive performance I've ever seen. I don't think I'm on the hype train the way Mark seems to be on the hype train right now. But it was a good fight, you know?
Omar, taking a look at the rankings for bantamweight. Where do you think Barcelos goes from here? Excuse me, Barcelos.
So let's take a look. So the one thing that was fun about Barcelos is his pace and his ability to mix things up, especially if he's going to be consistent with his ability to change between the striking and the wrestling, the way that he did in his last fight. Makes him very interesting. So if I'm going to go with somebody at this point, we're definitely going to go somebody in the top 15. Why don't we make it interesting? Let's go with some Jack Shore. Jack Shore sounds like a very interesting fight. From a pace perspective, I think that's going to be 100 miles an hour for 3 rounds. I think it'd be interesting.
Okay, Mark, give us your pick here.
I almost went Jack Shore myself. I could absolutely see that getting booked. I went a little different route. I agree he's got to fight a ranked fighter. Pedro Munoz is still pretty high in the UFC's rankings. I think he's like 8. I don't have him quite as high. I think I have him at 11 or 12. Dude has been losing some lately, but that's where I ended up landing. Shore works. I think I'd prefer Munoz slightly, but ranked fighter is where I'm at. I think he deserves that shot.
Yeah.
And let's go because he's 35 and he's just going to kind of break it in now. I say let's shoot him up there.
Yeah, they have Pedro Munoz at 8.
Yeah, I don't get how you have him that high still. I really don't.
All right, boys, one more to discuss and break down, and then we will jump into our lightning round, and here we go. Okay. Where's this fight? Brendan Allen, that's right. Brendan Allen subs Krzysztof Jotko in the first round. Mark, why don't you go first? Give us your take on your boy, All-In Allen's middleweight crushing of Jotko.
Brendan Allen, baby, let's go. That performance is why I'm so high on this guy. He is a big, strong, athletic dude who is dangerous everywhere the fight goes. It's a nice package, and it's starting to come together more fight by fight. He comes out, he lands a big body kick on Jotko right away. He slips, Jotko ends up on top of him. He ends up reversing the position, getting on top. Jotko does get up. He powers him down with a takedown again. As I said, he's a strong dude. Gift wraps Jotko, compromised position, threatens the arm triangle, makes Jotko turn to the back, just perfect step by step. Arm goes right under, chokes him out. Like, it was light work. You cannot do better than that against a fighter as good as Krzysztof Jotko. And that's exactly the kind of performance that Brendan Allen needed to kind of reignite his run here into some bigger fights.
Omar, what's your take of All-In Allen getting it done? Making quick work of the talented Krzysztof Jotko.
Yeah, so I thought Jotko would be able to get it done just because of his technique. And I thought it would be more of him keeping Allen off of him more than anything for 3 rounds. That went out the window real quick. The ground game, once Jotko got to the ground, I think you could see immediately that he wasn't comfortable there. And I say that because the reaction as soon as he hit the ground was he was in half guard and immediately goes to shoulder pressure and just stays using shoulder pressure, not trying to pass, not trying to cause damage, consistently holding the position but not really doing anything with it. And it didn't seem like it was because he didn't know what to do. It seemed more like because he couldn't really leave that position without potentially losing it completely. And so there seemed to even still be with Jotko in the position that he was at, Allen still presented some sort of danger from the bottom that Jotko felt. That's my take anyway. When it comes to that reversal, gorgeous reversal. He snuck. So while Brendan Allen is on the bottom in this half guard position, he also has something called a lockdown in place. A lockdown, if you go online, you go to YouTube or whatever, basically all it means from a positionary standpoint is from the bottom, he has essentially a figure 4 with his legs wrapped around one of Jotko's legs. Usually, whatever the inside leg is at that time. So in this specific situation, I think it was Jotko's left leg that he had in the lockdown. So he has a lockdown, and that lockdown causes a lot of pressure. It causes the person on top not necessarily be able to move to a different position, right? If Jotko wanted to go to side control with the lockdown in place, he's probably not going to be able to do that. So it does limit people in that area, but it also limits the person on the bottom as well, because a lot of times they can't move from that position without letting go of that lockdown. So there's a little give and take there. You have to kind of know how to use it. Brendan Allen did a beautiful thing where he had that lockdown, was able to bait that lockdown and had Jotko thinking about it, and then immediately explodes his hips up and over and rolls Jotko right onto his back and keeps the control once he performs that reversal. It was a beautiful, beautiful reversal. I think it's probably as textbook as it gets. It was really impressive that moment. And then just like Mark said, they ended up getting to the position in the cage. They were standing up, and then Allen ends up getting a beautiful body lock and almost it's essentially lateral throws him right onto his back, and just kind of works from there right into the rear naked choke. And that rear naked choke was almost instantaneous. There was no room for adjusting. That was in. It was 1, 2, skip to my Lou. He was done. It was beautiful performance, man. I gotta say I was impressed. I don't think I'd ever been as impressed with Brendan Allen after as much as I was after that performance. So hell of a performance from him. I might be on the train now.
Okay, Mark, at 185 pounds, there are a lot of bookings right now. So how would you thread Brendan Allen in there?
Agree. A lot of bookings. After the fight, he called out a couple people. One was Anthony Hernandez, which does sound fun as shit. I do want Brendan Allen to fight up, though. I feel like he deserves to fight up. The other one he called out was Andre Muniz. I would sign up for that. It's a great fight. If they also want Muniz to be fighting up rather than both of them having to fight each other when they're kind of at similar points. I think you could put Allen in there against whoever ends up losing between Jack Hermanson and Derek Brunson. That way he's kind of across from a bigger, more established name.
Total, wow. Wow, with Derek Brunson, that would be a huge step up. Even Hermanson, for sure. Omar, you have any other names you'd like to see middleweight for All In Allen?
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? Because everybody's booked definitely up until the end of the year, one way or another for the most part. I guess realistically, I would just tell you who I'd want to see from a stylistic standpoint fight Brendan Allen. I think a fight with Jack Hermanson would be very telling. Jack Hermanson is very well-rounded, I think. He's a very, very strong individual. High up on the rankings. I think it'd be interesting to see what Brendan Allen can do there.
Yeah, man. I like it.
Yeah, same page.
All right, boys. Let's throw the rest of these fights from UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Xiong, into our lightning round. Okay, in the featherweight division, Sadiq Youssef defeated Don Shainis by guillotine choke at 30 seconds of the very first round. Omar, go first.
That guillotine choke was mercy, as far as I'm concerned, because the knees that Shainis was eating up until that point was infinitely worse than that guillotine was. Or rear naked choke. Guillotine.
Guillotine.
Yeah. Solid performance from Youssef. Congrats on him getting his first sub of his career. That was a picture-perfect performance.
Mark, give us your lightning take.
I mean, Sadiq Youssef was supposed to run through Don Shainis, and when you're supposed to do it and you do it that easily, it's always nice. I mean, talk about light work. That one was light work. Sadiq Youssef is a great fighter. He's a dangerous man. He was supposed to fight Giga Chikadze, which is obviously a huge fight. Huge. So hopefully that one gets rebooked, or maybe he even gets Chan Sung Jung, who he called out in the post-fight, but would like to see Sadiq in a big one next.
Okay, Mark, staying with you. In the lightweight division, Mike Davis looked good against a talented striker, Vyacheslav Barshev, taking the fight by unanimous decision. The scores were 29-28, 30-26, and 30-26. Give us your lightning take.
Yes, Slava just does not have the requisite wrestling to hang with talented guys at this level, unfortunately. He's 1-2 in the UFC now. If I am the UFC, I am matching him up with a striker in his next fight, though, because as much as he doesn't have the wrestling, that man's striking is unreal. And it's intriguing enough that I'm trying to make sure he hangs around and doesn't pick up another loss here to give him some more time to work on the wrestling and the grappling in his game. Because if he can get it up a level or two, his striking is crazy. So I'm putting him in with a striker next, hoping he gets a W. As for the winner, Mike Davis, he looked great. He hung on the feet. He went back and forth there when he needed to, but you could tell he was a little bit outgunned, and whenever he started to feel that way, he was like, all right, we're going back to the ground. So he did a great job mixing it up. You figured that that's what he'd be able to do against Borshov because he does have that deficiency. And unless I'm mistaken, I think Mike Davis's only career losses are Sadiq Youssef and Gilbert Burns, which is pretty legit. So he could be a guy to watch as he starts to move up here.
Omar.
Yeah, I would agree. Mike Davis definitely utilizes wrestling more than his striking. But I think the fact that Slav couldn't really do anything about it, it's kind of why he did. I don't really blame him for it. I think in the third round, he got a little winded. He definitely worked hard for 2 rounds, so you could see the results of that in the third round for sure. But he definitely did enough to win those first 2 rounds, without a doubt.
Okay, Omar, sticking with you here. In the lightweight division, Joaquin Silva knocks out Jesse Ronson, or rather TKO, with a devastating knee followed up by punches. The official time, 3 minutes and 8 seconds of round number 2. What'd you take, bud?
Yeah, man. What a fight. This was a pretty solid fight. Definitely kind of pretty back and forth for the most part up until that sequence in the end. When he hit him with the knee, man, that was a vicious knee, and I didn't know if he was going to keep going. And he didn't even go out right away. There were some follow-up strikes involved that he had to go through. I'm glad the fight got called when it got called, but Jesus Christ, I mean, that knee was problematic, to say the least.
Mark.
Yeah, as Felder said on the broadcast, Jesse Ronson was kind of outstriking and outpointing Joaquim Silva for almost that whole first round. And then Silva switched his stance. And from that point on, Ronson couldn't figure out the looks. The fight changed on a dime. He froze Ronson I did say it right. I don't know why I thought I stumbled. Multiple times. He almost got him out of there at the end of round 1, and then he finishes him on the back of a filthy same-side flying knee, which you don't see every day, in round 2. So nice finish for Silva.
Okay, reaching back, I missed this one. I skipped over by accident. At a catch weight of 140 pounds, Daniel Santos defeats John Castaneda by knockout. 4 minutes, 28 seconds of round number 2. Mark, give us your take.
I love guys who fight like this kid. Like, that was Charles Oliveira light in terms of the striking experience. He doesn't have the grappling game, but he strikes just like him. Just taking damage, getting dropped, and choosing to say, nope, I'm still here, and when I get up, I'm just walking right at you even though you keep dropping me until I break you. And that's exactly what happened. It was a really impressive stoppage from Daniel Santos. Filthy knee. Literally just turned Castaneda off almost like on a delay, and the ref was like, wait, yep, he's gone. Like, it was a real nice finish for him.
Yeah. Omar.
Dude, that fight was madness too, man. The pace that those two put on was absolutely absurd. Smaller guys, whenever we see guys in like those 125, 135, 145 pound divisions, the pace they can put on for as long as they can put on is absolutely absurd, and this was definitely no exception. Fantastic finish, but I think the pace from both guys really needs to be talked about a little bit more, because that fight would not have been nearly as entertaining had these guys not been scrapping 100% from minute 1. It was a fantastic performance.
Okay, also at a catch weight of 140 pounds, Chelsea Chandler absolutely bullied Julia Stoliarenko, finishing her by TKO at 4 minutes and 15 seconds of the very first round. Omar, give us your take of the female fighter fighting out of Cesar Gracie's gym in Stockton, California.
Yeah, this one was fucked up. This one was a little mean. Like, this seemed like a bigger girl just bullying the hell out of another girl. Every time, Stoliarenko tried to come inside, she just was getting cracked left and right. Her face was red in every bit of it. The ground strikes were absolutely devastating. There was not a point in that fight where Stoliarenko was winning, going to win, looked like she might be in a good position. I mean, it was bad. It was bad everywhere at all times for Stoliarenko. Hell of a performance from Chelsea. I mean, that's what you want. That's the performance that you need in the UFC, and credit to her for getting it, because Jesus Christ.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, that. Chelsea Chandler is a featherweight who was scheduled to fight Leah Letson. When Letson fell out of the fight, Stoliarenko took it on short notice. They agreed on a catch weight of 140 pounds, so they are normally a weight class apart. Chandler did say after the fight that she can make 135 and that she's willing to, depending on the booking, that she'd like to fight in both weight classes. I guess she has to say that because she knows UFC barely has a featherweight weight class, but she did call out Norman Dumont at featherweight. But yeah, I mean, the expression is to get big brothered. Stoliarenko got big sistered in that fight because, I mean, she just got bullied the whole time. So a really nice debut for the latest UFC product from the 209.
Okay, one more, boys. To open the night for UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Juan in the bantamweight division, Omar's boy, Guido Canetti, gets it done over the very talented Randy Costa by submission via rear naked choke. The official time, 1 minute and 4 seconds of the very first round. Mark, let me start with you this time.
Wow, we're not starting with Omar?
Well, I'll let him take it home.
This is
Fair.
madness.
That's fair. Randy Costa, that may be the end of him in the UFC.
I know he's talented, man.
I'm right. I mean, he came in with the power stash for this fight too, and it didn't matter. I mean, the guy has an offensive game. He just unfortunately seems to be a bit too easy to hurt or submit or whatever the hell you want to do to him. But Guido jumped on him right out of the gate, sunk the choke in. I guess it was crazy deep. He didn't even have hooks. I guess Costa thought he didn't have time to even try to fight it. Tapped right away. And 42-year-old Guido Canetti's got a little streak together.
He is the most jacked, best-looking 42-year-old you'll ever see.
I mean,
Yoel Romero
Yoel
might be
Romero.
a little.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, maybe I'm partial because he's my tribe.
He's your
Omar,
what?
take it home, buddy.
Partial because he's your what?
He's Italian.
Is he?
Isn't he Italian?
I thought he was from
Colombian.
Argentina.
I mean, Argentinian. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
I thought he was Italian. Oh, damn it. They're going to kill me in the comments again. Son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
I'm pretty sure he's Argentinian.
All right, buddy. Take it
Look,
home.
you,
your
you
boy.
saw the name Guido and you just assumed he was Italian.
Yeah, I thought-
Get
I
him,
don't know why.
YouTube.
Yeah, he's
I don't know why.
Argentinian, man. Argentinian.
God damn it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say.
Keep it in. Keep it in. Hey, keep it in.
I said Colombia for a second.
So, the boy Guido Canetti, baby, let's go. Yeah, I like Randy Costa. Both of those are I'm big fans of both of those. They made it super easy for me though. As soon as I saw Randy Costa's stash, I was like, "You got to lose because that's not it. It's not it.
It's not it.
No." He had a whole Dr. Robotnik thing going on, and I wasn't feeling it. So I was glad to see Guido Canetti have a great performance. Apart from the choke, I definitely want to point out the timing on his leg kicks because he did it twice. And if you notice where he was kicking, he kicked the rear leg of Costa. So on a kick where Costa was throwing something, whether it was to the body or to the leg, Guido was able to take advantage of those moments and actually kick the back supporting leg and put Costa on his ass. The second time he did it was where he was able to rush him and grab the neck and the subsequent finish from there. But the timing on those leg kicks, I think, is absolutely fantastic. The one thing that freaks me out about Guido, and I think will always freak me out, is his stance. He has such a wide stance. And I know he utilizes his kicks. I mean, none of the kicks he threw were soft kicks. Every one of them was thrown with 100% power. Yep. He relies a lot on his kicks, which I think is why he has such a wide base. But if he's going to ever face a wrestler, or somebody who enjoys taking people down, that wide base is going to kill him at some point. And I hope he adjusts when necessary. But for today, fucking Guido Canetti, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, bro. All right, that does it for lightning round. UFC Fight Night Dern versus Xiong. And now, let us put a bow on this one by getting an update from Mark for Mark's very own rankings system that we call the Priaulx Rankings. Mark, take it away.
All right, we only got one move that is terribly significant. We have a few smaller ones, but I kept them in here just to figure I'd give you a little taste. Working down the card. So we have three risers, one faller, excuse me. Working down the card, the first riser is Ilir Latifi. Goes from number 20. Wait, did we skip Ilir Latifi?
Now that you said that out loud, yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah, he wasn't in the show notes.
Fuck, I made the show notes and I left him out. Wow.
It's all good.
Ilir.
Give us a quick take. Give us a quick take of
I'll say it now, yeah.
Heavyweight Ilir.
Ilir looked really good. We said it. The dude's impossible to take down. Oleinik was going to have problems. It's really hard to take Ilir Latifi down, but I was impressed by how well he wrestled, how willing he was to be on top of Oleinik. I don't know that I expected him to feel so comfortable going that route, but he did it quite often and looked really good and pretty much handled Oleinik the whole way. So, yeah, that was a big win for Ilir, and I would say is a win that's kind of starting to legitimize him as a real heavyweight contender, which I don't know that I expected when he first announced that he was moving to heavyweight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Omar, did you want to give an Ilir take quick?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sold on Alir being a real contender as of late.
I don't mean a title
will
contender.
say-
I mean like a guy who could be ranked one day.
Yeah, I will say I had a lot of confidence that Oleinik would be able to find a submission in the time that he was given, because I did think that Alir was going to give him that time. I figured he'd want to take him down. I figured he'd want to play around in the guard a little bit more than most people probably would against Oleinik. And while I was right about that, Alir did a fantastic job in his defense, because he didn't give Oleinik any opportunity to really sink in anything that was going to cause him to tap. So good on him, man. I didn't think he'd be able to do it for the 3 rounds. I thought Oleinik would be skilled enough to get at least something in within those 3 rounds, but didn't do it.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot Alir. That was fucked up of me. Sorry
It's
about
all
that.
good.
Back to the rankings. At least I'm rewarding Alir with a move up. So he goes from number 20 to number 17 in my heavyweight ranks. And I was kind of saying this a second ago, but when he first came up from light heavyweight, I kind of viewed it as like, man, Alir Latifi's not really big enough to be a heavyweight. I guess he kind of just wants some fun fights and whatever, doesn't want to keep cutting the weight. But, like, the dude looks pretty good. Like, he's getting pretty near being a ranked heavyweight. As I just said, it's not like he's going to be fighting for a title, but he's doing better at heavyweight than I thought he could do, so credit to him. Next move, this is the significant one this week, is Daniel Santos. Moves from number 69 to number 43 in my bantamweight rankings. Gets himself a big win by beating John Castaneda to legitimize himself after he dropped his debut to Julio Arce. So he kind of jumps into the mix here. And then the last riser, it's not to any super high number, but Omar will enjoy it. It's Guido Canetti, going from number 65 to number 59 in the bantamweight rankings.
Let's
Putting
go.
on a little tiny late career push here to maybe get in some fun fights at least. So we'll see what happens with Guido. Then the faller is John Castaneda, goes from number 40 to number 45 in my bantamweight rankings on the back of getting knocked out by Daniel Santos. And that is it for the week.
Woo! Thank you, sir. All right, boys. Let us now jump into the headlines and the news stories in the MMA world with our segment Inside the MMA Sphere with Omar. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, guys? So we've got just a handful of things to touch on. Nothing really maddening happened in the last week or so. The first major thing is last week we talked about how Aspen Ladd had been cut from the UFC because of her weight making or non-making problems. And not a few days later, Aspen Ladd has officially signed with the PFL and will be debuting in their 2023 season. So she will have a shot at $1 million. I didn't see what weight class she was going in at. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work.
I tried to look. I couldn't find it.
It would make sense if she didn't have to cut as much weight as she was doing before, because
You know what I realized, though?
insanity, but
We think of the PFL's division that has Kayla and Pacheco in it as featherweight because we've seen them fight at featherweight before, but it's lightweight.
I know it's 155. Yeah.
So, like, Aspen Ladd fighting at 145 is one thing. Aspen Ladd fighting at 155 is kind of a lot. So I don't really know what the plan is.
Yeah. They haven't really been specific on it. All it is at this point is just she's the PFL. So definitely keep an eye out for any more information. We'll let you guys know, but there that is. Next on the list, just a quick little tidbit. Bilal spotted training with the great Khabib. Looks like Khabib and Bilal will be training together for his upcoming fight, which would be super interesting, especially if that ups Bilal's wrestling game more than it already is. That could be a real problem. A quick little update on that whole Mark Zuckerberg rented out the Apex and Facebook and all that stuff. So the word from Ariel at this point is that Dana White invited Mark Zuckerberg and some Facebook executives to the Apex and closed it off to the public. That was a Dana White decision and not a Mark Zuckerberg paid for it thing. So it sounds like Dana White was, when he said it was bullshit that Mark Zuckerberg rented out the Apex, probably telling the truth. At the same time, the Apex was closed off for only Facebook execs and and Zuckerberg and his wife and stuff. So, bring that up not only as a piece of news, but also to continue my campaign of justice for my man Li Jingliang. Once again,
I saw this.
Once again, my man Li Jingliang purchases a fucking tailored suit for this event, and now no one's in the arena to fucking give a shit. I don't even think he's able to get into the arena with this suit. This is ridiculous. He can't get in. We can't see the suit. Another suit wasted. Justice for my man Li Jingliang.
It won't be wasted. It won't be wasted.
He'll
find use for it.
We're going to need to give this man a title shot at this point. I don't know what else is enough to fix all these wrongs, to right all these wrongs.
Control. Out of control. All right. That's it for the stories. Let's get into some fight announcements. And we may have to wrap it up right after this. All right. Drakkar Klose versus Mark Madsen has been added to UFC's Vegas 63 card on October 29th. It's a great fight.
Yep.
Josh
There's
Parisian
some bad blood
versus...
there too.
Yeah. Oh, is there?
Yes. I don't remember what it is. I just remember Klose calling Madsen out in an angry manner, being like, sack up and fight me. I'm sick of us not like matching up. So I don't know what the story is, but that happened.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for the T because that's interesting. I didn't know this.
Yes.
Josh Parisian versus Chase Sherman has been added to UFC Vegas 64 on November 5th. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland has been added to UFC's Orlando card, which your boy will most definitely be looking into tickets for December 3rd. Yasmin Haragui versus Estela Nunez has been added to UFC Orlando on December 3rd as well.
Oh, your girl. You got it.
You're damn right. And I was telling Francesca this earlier. I was like, for those of you who don't remember, because she didn't remember, for those of you who don't remember, Yasmin Haragui is one of the two girls who weeks ago were debut fighters in the middle of a main card where all of us were like, what the fuck is going on here? What are they doing putting a debuting set of fighters on the main card? And those two women absolutely delivered and then some. Yasmin Haragui walked away with the victory, and rightfully so. She is sharp as shit. Her hands are sharp as shit. I'm very, very high on this girl right now, so I'm super excited to see her fight.
Yo, this is a pretty good card.
Yeah,
Have you
dude.
looked at it?
Yes, I have. This card is stacked as shit, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. When I saw main event was Wonderboy and Holland, I mean, I like that fight. But when I saw that was the main event, I was like, this card's probably okay. It's fucking deep as shit.
Yeah.
good
I'm excited.
for you, man. You got to go to that.
Tickets go on sale October 14th, 13, 14, 15, depending on what pre-sale access you have access to. So, letting you guys know.
Very nice.
I'm gonna look to get floor seats for this one because I can't get them for Vegas. Vegas is always way too goddamn expensive. But Orlando, I might be able to finagle that one. All right, next on the list. Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev is currently in the works. Not official. It is in the works for UFC 282, which will be going down December 10th. Along with that fight, Bo Nickel is already getting a pretty decent shot here versus Jamie Pickett. That fight, again, has also been added to 282 on December 10th. Cheyenne Vlismus has been added to the December 17th event against Corey McKenna. Which stylistically is actually a pretty interesting fight to see how that plays out. Both women, I would think, want to take it to the ground one way or another, and see how that comes out will be pretty interesting. Last on the list, but absolutely not the least, we have official Davidson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 4 title unification bout added to the UFC's 283 event on January 21st, 2023. Let's fucking go.
Yeah,
that's
man.
all I got for you boys.
Fight number 4. coming in the pipeline.
Yeah.
I'm okay
People
with
suck, by the way. I saw it get announced on, like, whatever page. Probably it was, like, MMA Junkies Instagram page or some shit, or ESPN MMA. Whatever Instagram page. Fucking 9 out of every 10 comments was people like, fuck this. Like, why can't they keep the division moving? Like, these two don't need to keep fighting each other. Like, shut the fuck. There is no one else who should be fighting for this belt. Like, I hate people who talk out of their ass and have no clue what's actually going on in these divisions. First of all, he's the interim champion. He has to fight the actual champion. There's no other option here. Anyway, that's my vent for the day.
All right, boys. Well, we made it. It was a short-ish episode. Recap heavy. No fights to predict. Let's end with a little piece of trivia that your boy Mikey crafted. You guys are probably going to guess this in 5 seconds. Mackenzie Dern did not get the submission victory this past weekend. She already has 4 submission victories in the UFC, which is the second most for a lady in the UFC history. Who is the only lady to have more subs than Dern? Is it A, Miesha Tate, B, Honda Housey, C, Jillian Robertson, or D, Hakel Pennington?
It's got to be Ronda.
So, my initial inclination was to say, obviously, Ronda. I kind of feel like Jillian Robertson has a lot, which is fucking me up right now. Like, I know Ronda started mixing in, knocking some girls out. Is it possible she only
you're
has
right. You're right, actually. She knocked out 2 girls. That's right. She knocked out the useless Brazilian girl.
Yeah, Betchy Correia.
Essa mismo.
Useless Brazilian girl.
That's literally what Betchy Correia was.
And
Oh, man.
She played a good villain.
What did she do to Alexis Davis? Did she
Alexis
sub
Davis. No, that was the one where she knocked her out and then flipped her. And then
Right.
kept beating on her face.
Right. I couldn't think of it. Fuck, so is it? Man.
Oh my God, is it Jillian Robertson?
I feel
Final
like
answer?
Jillian Robertson has a lot.
It is
Ronda might
Jillian
only-
Robertson has the most submission victories for any lady in the
You let us
UFC
finalize
history.
our guess. I
Oh,
was going to
sorry.
say Jillian, though.
No, yeah, it's fine. I was just thinking about how many, because by the time Ronda got into the UFC, I think she actually only had maybe 2 submissions in the UFC, if that.
No, I
You're
think
very-
she had more than that.
You were very close. You were very close. Let me tell you.
3?
I believe Ronda has 9 submission victories on her career. But
Right.
a lot of those happen in Strikeforce.
Exactly.
In the UFC, Ronda has 3 submission victories.
Okay. Because I know
Miesha
her first one was the first fight that she ever had was where she submitted the gorilla, Liz Carmouche, right?
Misha.
Miesha has
Miesha.
1 UFC
No, I'm saying she
submission
submitted
victory.
Misha, I'm saying.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Miesha has 1 UFC submission victory. Raquel Pennington has 1 submission
I knew it
victory
wasn't
in the
Raquel.
UFC.
Yeah.
Ronda has only 3
would've
in the
thought Miesha
UFC.
had more.
In the UFC.
Right.
And Jillian Robertson has 6 submission victories
Wow.
in the UFC.
Jillian
And she's still
Roberts.
active.
Beast. Yeah, hell yeah.
And so is, I wonder if Mackenzie's going to catch up to her.
What's Mackenzie at? 4?
4.
Oh, dude, I
You
couldn't
would
think
think-
of the third one from Ronda, and it's the Cat Zingano. That Cat Zingano crazy.
Oh, dude, yes.
That's
Yes.
right. I couldn't remember the third one.
That one's good. How many does Amanda Ribas have?
That's a good question.
I kind of feel like she would have like 3-ish. Because her jits is nasty.
It is.
Let's find out.
I mean, I could look myself.
She's got 2 in the UFC and 4 overall.
No, she only has 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Good jits. Some
I just
good
remember
jits.
she beat Dern. So in my head, I was like, her
Yeah.
jits was nasty. Obviously, she didn't tap Dern, but she like.
Oh, I was there for that Dern fight, actually.
Wow.
All right, interesting.
All right, boys.
Yeah,
Good
Jillian Robertson
episode.
don't play. Jillian Robertson, as she showed a couple weeks ago, will endure 100 strikes to the face to eventually tap you out.
Yeah,
I gotta
right.
remember this the next time we get to a Jillian Robertson fight, and I when I go to pick for her or pick against her, I got to remember how tough she is because I didn't get that one the last time, and she really hung in there and beat the hell out of that girl in the end.
Go Knicks. Right. Preseason is happening. Also, congrats to Aaron Judge, 62 home runs.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
History. Real quick, in 2 seconds, do you consider Aaron Judge's 62 like the more legitimate than like Barry Bonds?
So, I've been super into this all year. I kind of look at it as 2 records. Like, I don't know if I'm going to say one is more anything than the other one. Like, Bonds has the record, but I kind of look at it as like there's a steroid era record and there's a non-steroid era record, and Judge has the clean record.
Yeah,
I don't know. Steroids for me kills it.
Really? Okay, but the pitchers were on steroids, probably.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit about it. But all 3 guys that broke it, McGuire, Sosa, Bonds, were absolutely on shit. So this means a lot to me, Judge getting 62.
Yeah, man.
Bonds grew an entirely different head after he started taking steroids. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
As long as if Aaron Judge is actually clean, like it's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, dude, I didn't think he was gonna do it. Because they had a doubleheader yesterday, and once the day game ended and he still didn't do it, I was like, fuck, there's only 2 games left. Like, is he really going to run out of time here? So, thank God he got that shit done.
So, it's 62 in a season that he got?
Yeah.
In the regular
season.
The
season ended today, so that's it, 62.
Yep.
The record was 61. Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds all got more than that in those years, but now Judge got 62. Yeah.
Well, folks, enjoy the weekend off from MMA. Let us know in the comments what you're going to be doing when you have no MMA to watch this weekend. What are you going to do? You're going to go kayaking? What are you going to do? You're going to go to the gym? It's going to be a weird Saturday night with no fights on.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm probably going to go to the movies.
Nice.
I think I might go out to dinner with my wife for my anniversary.
Good timing.
She can come first with no MMA.
Imagine if there was like some huge like pay-per-view, like a Conor fight or something.
Oh, we'd be going out on Friday or Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm sure your wife will be thrilled to hear when there's no MMA, she can come first. She'll be fucking thrilled with that one.
She'd laugh about it. First of all, it's not the full truth.
No, I know.
After all the years we've been together, she's very aware of the way MMA dictates our schedules.
That's so funny.
Like, she already knows about the October 22nd one or whatever it is, that on that Saturday I cannot be spoken to.
Oh, Mark has to put in his time off. He puts in PTO.
Yeah.
Did you end up getting tickets for this Madison Square Garden card?
Dude, I was just thinking about it as I was like fucking moving my shit around, getting ready for our show tonight, that I forgot all about it. So I got to text my boy that I was talking to about going with, and see if we still want to do this here, because I literally just blanked on it.
Definitely look into it, because I remember the last time I did a Madison Square Garden card, I did it the week of, and
got a deal.
It was cheapish. I bought floor seats for less than $300 each.
You bought floor seats for less than $300?
That's the one I have pictures giving dabs to fucking Adesanya after he beat the shit out of Brunson. Yeah, it was fantastic and worth every penny.
Adesanya Brunson? What was the main event of that card?
Actually, I think it was this one.
What was it? I didn't see it. That was in MSG?
Right?
Yeah. Cormier Lewis was in MSG?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm actually wearing the shirt right now.
That's pretty wild, first of all, that you're wearing that shirt.
I agree. Yep, 2018. And so what Francesca was reminding me of is we did the Conor Khabib fight the month before in Vegas, and then on a whim went to the Madison Square Garden card the month after. So your boy was broke in 2018. I'll tell you that.
Dope. That was my last time at an MSG card, was that one, which was sick.
I remember wanting to go to that one really bad.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, boys, have a
Worked
great
out
weekend,
good
and
that
we
had no
will
previews.
reconvene in about 7 days.
Sounds good.
Have a good weekend, everybody. See you
Thanks for
soon.
listening, people.
Li Jingliang.
Peace.
Peace.